Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. This will be a long video and it will be part of my series called Entrypoint Academy. And because it's a first live cast in the series for Entrypoint Academy, I will again introduce the project. So I'm 46 years old. When I was around 43 years old, something happened in my life and I started to perceive the reality in a different way. And I also started acting in a different way, but without knowing what I was doing differently. And for about, well, I would say even till today, I watch the way I act and what I do differently. And I formulated this into something I call Entrypoint philosophy. And based on this philosophy, I do everything. And that's why when you check my YouTube channel, everywhere you see, Entrypoint water fast, Entrypoint insight. So also, around, I made this view that you can see, like relevant videos to what we are talking about. So if you find anything interesting that I'm saying, you should also check out these videos, and I will be probably referring to them as I will be speaking. Again, I'm warning you, this will be a long video, so just listen to what I'm saying and do something along with it, and just enjoy thinking about things as I'm talking along. So I live by this philosophy, but also people ask me about it. So there are people in my life who also, and I'll use the word practice, but it's not really practice, because I think that the best way to imagine Entrypoint philosophy is it's like glasses with, let's say, red lens. So if you have a glass with red lens, you see the reality in a bit different way than normally. Certain details are hidden and certain details come out, and as a whole, all of a sudden you have a different view. That doesn't mean that when you put your glasses on and you see the reality, when you take off your glasses, that it would change the way the reality is. No, the reality is still the same way. You just get different type of information from the reality. And because you get different type of information, many times you can use this information to give you a better understanding of what's happening, and you can make better decisions. So Entrypoint philosophy, that's exactly, it's a tool. You can imagine it as glasses that you put on, and you look at various areas of your life, and you can improve those areas. And for that, let me change to this slide. Here you can see, I made a visual symbol of Entrypoint Academy. What is Entrypoint Academy? So as I saw that Entrypoint philosophy was bringing what it was bringing to my life, and what it was bringing to people in my life who started practicing or using these Entrypoint glasses in their life, I started thinking how I can pass it on, because it's not something that you can tell someone in 10-20 seconds. So then when I was reading Plato for this, I really recommend this video up here, how I applied what I read in Plato's work in everyday life. And of course I learned how Plato started his academy, basically the first university in the world, and that inspired me to come up with the concept of creating a YouTube channel or a YouTube series. That's even better, because for the Czech version of Entrypoint Academy, I have a Czech YouTube channel, So for the English one, I will create this series called Entrypoint Academy, and this series will, in a series of videos, communicate Entrypoint Academy. And in order to communicate it, I had to structure it. So I came up with a structure of nine segments that are actually really connected. In fact, the first one is the one I am talking about today, which I call psychology. That's the most important one. Now let me tell you quickly about the segments, how they are interconnected, and then I will talk about the segment psychology. Now, for those of you who cannot wait, basically what I will be talking about is this video, which is about 20 minutes long, about the segment psychology. So today I will be talking about it in a long time. Now let me tell you more about the about the segments. So when I say psychology, you know, I think that the best way to imagine it is, well, you know it yourself. If you're in a bad mood, if it's not working inside the way so you feel comfortable, it will be really hard to live life. We all know stories of people who are billionaires, who have everything, happy family, everything is great. Yet they commit suicide because they cannot somehow inside be okay with the reality. So psychology is the most important part, because if it's not working, nothing else will work. Now, once we are okay and we are fine, then the next step is that our heart. So once the software, the operating system is fine, then the next step is how is the hardware, and I call this health. So the second segment is health. Now, I will stop here for a second and explain it with the analogy with the glasses. Imagine that the segment psychology is a segment that defines the glasses, that it defines the filter. And then with the various segments that will continue with each videos and lesson, I will talk about how to actually apply it in that area, what I see in that area, what it tells to me. And then if you try the Entrypoint glasses and look at that area in your life, you will probably see the same thing. And then you will know how to apply Entrypoint philosophy through examples that I will talk about in the videos. So exactly the structure of what I will be talking about right now is that right now I'm talking, this is, let's say, a part called intro. Then I will talk about a part, what I call the standard model of how we view this area. Then I will talk about what it led me into this Entrypoint view and what it looks like, and then how I apply it in life. And this is exactly the way I will approach the segment health, where, as you know, probably I do water fasting, and it's a huge big tool that opens eyes and speeds up a lot of processes in your body. And of course, this is what I will be talking about in the segment health. Then, of course, once your software is fine, your hardware is fine, then the next part is, you have to acquire a skill so you can use this skill to survive in today's world. So, a skill that someone is willing to pay money for, or in the past it was a skill to be able to hunt an animal. And once you have this skill, you learn this skill, then the next part is your career. How do you actually apply the skill? Like, will you work for yourself, or will be employed, or what will be your strategy? And then these, then once you master this, then money will start coming. And what's your relationship with money? For a lot of us, it's hard to form a relationship with money. That's why, even though you might have the ability to make money, you might not have the ability to keep money or to multiply money. So that's another segment. And after that, of course, then you own, and only then when you are financially secure and ready, you are ready to have a partner in your life. And choosing the right partner in your life, that's extremely hard. For a lot of us, it's almost it's like a life and death situation. And when you imagine that a lot of marriages in the world end up in divorce, or people stay in marriages even though they are not happy, and when you imagine how you feel in life when your partnership or your relationship with your life partner is going well, how well you perform in life, and then in the same time, if the relationship is not working, how it's actually not working well in your life and you are not performing as well, then this is a very important part. And above it, once you have the right partner, then you are ready to have kids. And who would have thought? It's not only about making the kid, but it's about knowing and understanding how to bring up a kid. Now, everyone in the world, they have their various traditions and religious traditions and social traditions, how a child should be brought up. But the main point is the child should be brought up in such way so that it can survive in today's reality. It's nice to follow a tradition, but if the tradition doesn't help me to survive in today's world, it has to be updated in through the Entrypoint glasses. And that's the raising up a kid. And then, of course, once you're raising up a kid, you realize that another big issue is that we don't know how to communicate. Now, when I say that we do not know how to communicate, of course, most people can more or less express a thought, an opinion. But what most people cannot do, and when the whole world is an example of it, is that we do not know how to communicate. When I say this is really good, and then someone else tells me this is really bad. So, because of how strange the world is, we got to the point where, even though I don't agree with you, you can say it, but we will not be debating why you have this opinion and why I have this opinion, because everyone gets so emotional, and we don't know how to communicate when we have different opinions in such way that we are able to convince the other person or the other person us to leave our position and join their position. That almost never happens. I've never seen a debate in my life where someone would convince, well, I probably have seen it, but I don't recall it. When someone would debate someone and that other person would convince him that it's the other way around, and they would say, oh my God, thanks for pointing out this fact. I didn't know it, and that's why I had the different opinion. Thanks for telling me. Okay, I'm with you here. Okay, let's convince the world of this correct opinion or whatever. So the reason is that we don't know how to communicate, and that's the most important segment, communication. And of course, it also connects back to Plato, in which the motif of this visual symbol is from I would say Plato, or how I imagine the ancient Greece, exactly like black and white with simple simple shapes in geometrical order fashion. So once you communicate, then you are ready for the next important part, and that's politics. Now, when I talk about politics, I don't talk about the sense of the word how it's usually meant, political parties, left and right. No. What I'm talking about is that I mean politics is a way of acting and communicating towards your surroundings, so the surroundings changes in a way that you are convinced will benefit everyone else, including yourself. And politics doesn't start from standing in front of 100,000 people, but politics starts, sitting at your kitchen table with your closest family and being able to convince everyone that it's the best for everyone. If we just tell, if we are completely open in this little circle, and that we can talk about freely about everything, because I experience a lot of families where they don't have this ability and they have these hidden elephants that they do not talk about. So now I talked about these segments which are part of the project Entrypoint Academia. And as I said, I will try to, for each segment, to publish a video. The 20-minute one, that's the one again you see up here. And for each, as I'm doing right now, I will shoot a long live video talking about it in more detail. So if you don't like this long part, I advise you go to this video. And if you enjoyed this video, you can just listen to what I'm talking about right now. And with this, I will move to the part psychology, and let me start talking about the I call it model one. That's the standard way of viewing reality. And up till my I would say till I was 43 years old, the way I viewed reality is that, somehow I'm inside of this body, that I control this body, these arms. I look around myself, so I have my eyes as these little microphones, and sorry, as these little microphones, and I have these eyes as these cameras, ears as microphones. I collect the information, I see the reality around me, and just like in a computer game, let's call it let's say GTA or any other game where you walk around in some virtual reality. So this is exactly virtual reality in which I'm located, and I have to survive. Now let me switch to this slide. So as I said, I scan the reality, get sounds, and in my head I'm trying to calculate variations of how I should live, just like in the game of chess. And in the game of chess, in every certain position you have a lot of moves. Most of them don't make sense, but the sensible ones, let's say there are 2, 3, 4 per position. So you have to visualize, and that's another tool that I have. I remember the past and things that happened, and also I can imagine the future. So just like in chess position, in every moment I imagine, if I do this, this will happen. Will the position be better for me or not? And if so, by how much? And then I evaluate all these possible positions, and I try to choose the best one. Also the one that will lead me to the goal that I have in life. And I make the decisions. And sometimes, just like in chess, when I play chess, most of the time, I think that I will have a better position, but then I realized no, it's not a better position, even though that when I was making the move I thought it was going to be better. So this puts more stress on myself because I have to constantly try to get as much information from the position as possible. Otherwise, I will not be able to make the correct moves. Now, this was the reality that I lived in for 43 years of my life. Now, of course, I was brought up in. I was born in 1976, and I grew up in the Czech Republic, in a political system that was like, I never heard about religion. So I would say that if someone asked me, I would probably say, yeah, I was brought up in a atheistic environment. So you can see that the symbol A on the slide, that's a symbol for atheism, which I didn't know, so I put it there. But also, there's the compass beside it demonstrates what I was actually looking for. Because, as I was growing up, I learned exactly as what we were saying. Okay, I'm inside of this body. Okay, I'm operating it. Okay, second segment. What about hardware? Yeah, hardware is fine. Okay, so what's next? Okay, learning new skill, going to school. Okay, I'm acquiring and learning new skill. I'm learning how my memory works, how bad it is, and what skills to learn. Then the next step, I'm trying to, sell this skill so I can, make money. Then I start working in a company. Okay, I learn the company politics and how it all works. Then I make money. And I go through life like this, and I realize that I'm actually not sure which way to go. I'm not actually sure, what's the compass? Where is the north? Where should I go? Like if the whole life is here, it's just here, and then I die and nothing happens. What's the point? And when I say what's the point, not the point, why should I try to do anything? No, the point in, like, which way should I aim? Which way should I aim? And that led me to also read information from religious books, such as the Bible, Quran. I read a lot from Hinduism, Buddhism. I also took a lot of interest in science. And it's really, none of these manuals didn't do it for me. So again, when I was in the bottom of my life, thinking about ending my life when I was about 43 years old, I thought that I didn't know what to do. Because as I said, based on my past decisions, based on how I imagined the variations of future decisions I was going to make, I ended up in a situation in life where I was stressed out. I had health issues. I couldn't fall asleep because my stomach was aching. I was in constant worry and stress. And I was just not enjoying life. And I thought even that every time something nice happened in my life, as it was happening, when I thought of all the, worries I had, when they came in, I would not be able to enjoy that pleasant thing as much as I could have. It's sort of like if you are in a perfect vacation, in the beginning of vacation, someone close to you who stayed in your home country calls you that they are in hospital, and they will know in 4 days if they are okay. Then after the 4 days of complete stress, when they tell you that they are okay, you'd be like, why didn't I enjoy the 4 days? Yeah. So you are in a stressful situation because you cannot even enjoy the pleasant things. And that's what I was in. And also, and I started, and then when I back then you can see that I put on the Entrypoint glasses. I started realizing, well, basically what I did is I stopped and I said, you know what, forget everything that you were ever told, because everything that you were told, the operating system that they, one day you were born here and let's say your consciousness, or someone you can call your soul, you woke up, you realized that, oh, where am I? So this is exactly what I told myself. Okay, I want to start from here and forget everything and find my own way, or find my glasses, my Entrypoint glasses, which will enable me to come in peace in the relationship between my soul, let's call it soul for today, my soul and the reality. So so now as I said, the structure of this long talk is introduction, which I made. Now I talked about the standard way of how I was viewing reality. And now I tell you before I describe the Entrypoint way of seeing reality, I will now talk about the transition part, right? So as I said in this slide, I feel the feeling is that it's two cameras looking out and showing me the reality around me. But because I'm starting from scratch, my head is completely clear. I have to realize that I'm not. My soul is inside of an organism that's been evolving on this planet continuously for many millions of years. Probably outside of the ocean, it could be some 600 million years. So I'm optimized for viewing the reality in order to be able to hunt in the reality. So many times I can perceive something can look in a certain way, but it's not that way. As an example, even though we all know that there is sun and earth spins and revolves around sun, in everyday life it feels you live on a flat plane where the sun goes from one part to the other. And that's why it also took that many millions of years for humans, and then hundreds of thousands of years for Homo sapiens to recognize this, because it was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. So, in that sense, even though my current experience is that the cameras are looking out, that's not how it is. In reality, a photon hits my retina, the receptors. In fact, you can imagine it exactly. The photon hits, it's like a lever, and it moves this protein. It sends electrical signal, and based on these millions and millions of electrical signals in instant shooting into the brain creates somewhere inside of my consciousness or my soul this interpretation of the reality out there. Therefore, it's not that the way I feel that I'm behind my nose and my eyes. No, I'm behind that, over there, behind that wall that I see in front of me, that's actually right now inside my head. So in fact, it's not that I'm somewhere inside looking out, but I am put inside a 3D planetarium right inside. And as a special illusion to make it more real, it's sort of like putting a filter of my nose and eyes around it to make it feel like I'm inside, but I am not inside. All of this is inside of me. Okay, but not only that, we also know from all kinds of scientific studies that in this 3D interpretation of the world outside that the brain is displaying to my soul, and almost as an illusion that I'm inside the body, that it doesn't show me everything. It only shows me things that it feels I need for my survival. So you probably have heard a lot about the brain teasers, or eye illusions. So what it means that everything I see is not the reality, but it's an interpretation of the reality. But it's an interpretation of reality that I am not interpreting. Someone is already showing me the interpretation, and I cannot trust the interpretation. So what that means, that also what I hear is an interpretation by someone else, by my brain, of what I should hear. Now, when you go a step further, you realize that it's not only, what you see and what you hear, that's an interpretation. But another thing that's very important to then ask yourself, who are these, who's making these thoughts that I'm having right now? And, to that, let me switch to this nice slide. And there is one more thing you have to realize, and that is that the reality we are in, that just as I said, that the way I perceive reality is not that I am inside of the reality, but I am inside in a 3D interpretation of the reality out there. So what is actually the out there? Because, again, even though the feeling is that it's a playing field, it's like, Minecraft with other various characters playing by certain rules, that's not exactly what the reality is. Because, as I said, not only we are on a planet called Earth that is flying around a star called Sun, that's part of a galaxy called Milky Way. It's like we're part of a universe that's so unimaginably huge that we cannot imagine how much space and stuff is around us, and in the same time how empty it is, but only at the first glance. Because on the, let's say on the giant, on the macro level, what's important is, and we found this out in about 1912, I think, where Albert Einstein was able to figure out and imagine that space and time were interconnected, and that time can run slower and faster depending on how the space moves, or how an object moves within the space with, or with what speed. Now, and when you go down on a smaller level, you realize that this human body is actually a collective of cells individual cells where each has a different role. And each cell is made out of molecules. Each molecule is made out of atoms. Each atom is made out of proton, neutron, electrons. They are each, and then the proton and neutron are made out of quarks. And there are some quantum fields. And on some basic level, all of this is energy. Now, when I say all of this, I should be correct that the reality based on which this is all interpreted is made out of fields which are not being shown in my interpretation, that my brain doesn't think it's important to show me the quantum fields, but I know that they are out there by doing indirect experiments that I can verify through this virtual reality interface. Dan Hoffman, a scientist, really talks about it. He compares it to it's like it's like a desktop screen. The desktop on your computer, it's not actually the the bytes and the ones and zeros and the assembly language somewhere there below, but it's a human interface through which a non-programmer, by clicking with the mouse, can without the knowledge of how these circuits work, can operate the machine. So this is exactly, this is being shown to us, and in a reality that is made out of the same energy, same components, on the same principles of unity and cooperation. So in this reality, my soul is inside, and through this body, I'm put in this 3D reality, right? Starting from scratch. So so I'm so now I understand that everything I see, it's just a display. So I have to keep in count that not every single time everything will be displayed. Okay, so what else do I have here? What else do I control? So I can see that I feel I have an institute called memories, that somehow, when I somehow want, a memory can come up, but I can feel that I don't have a complete control over it. I cannot remember everything. I cannot really remember exactly in what type of shape the memory will be. In fact, I cannot even remember or see or feel how much memory or how much information is in each memory. I don't know. I have to sort of like enter it and go there in that memory cabinet somehow, but I cannot even describe it. Like, I'm not walking anywhere. Like, I don't know in which part of my head, it just happens. Okay. So already I can see that I'm not completely in charge of the state of the memory. So right now, if I should make a decision, I have to base it on something which also is not exact, right? So, because I don't have a perfect memory. So, of course, in my life, I try to use various techniques of how to pull out things from the memory, but it's not exact. Now, luckily, with the memory part, it's just like with chess, and that's why and you know what? I will put this slide here, and I will keep it here and talk about it more. So, it's just like chess, because when you have a chess position, there is a position, and again, you are looking at the position, and you have the moves that make sense. They called candidate moves. Then you have a bunch of moves that don't make sense, like jumping out of the window or smashing a cup. But there are several moves that make sense. Should I keep talking? Should I not be talking? Should I talk faster, slower? And then you make the variations in your head and you make a decision. No, just like in chess, when you're looking the life's position, it's obvious that in chess you don't care how you got into the position, because it doesn't help you in any way in the decision. The how you got there it's not important. What's important is to collect as much information about the current position, because that's the main difference between a chess master and chess beginner. That when they see the same position, the chess master sees or is able to get from the position, let's say 100 times more information than the beginner. So therefore it's much easier for the chess master to really make the right decision. And that's exactly the situation in life, because the chess master doesn't care how you got into the position. He cares how to make the best move in the current position. So therefore, that sort of relaxed me, because when I realized that the memories are not exactly the tool I can count on 100%, I knew I could drop off the memories as well. Because again, just as the brain is creating this virtual reality for me, obviously the brain is also creating some memories for me to make a decision on. So okay, I cannot count much on the visuals, I cannot count much on the memories. What else is there? Well, just like in chess, there's the ability to imagine what the future is going to be like. And that's exactly just like in chess. You imagine the future variations, you calculate for the future. But what people don't realize, that it's not about calculating the moves, but it's about not only remembering the move, but when you see the move in your head, to see the whole position and the whole complexity of the position. Because if I know that someone can calculate many moves ahead, but with each move they lose the ability to really see the whole position and its complexity, then what's enough for me to be able to calculate only several moves, but really in depth, and see the positions and try to navigate the position somewhere where for this person you can calculate a lot of moves but not in depth, to a position where for them 2 moves deep in their let's say 2 moves ahead, 2 moves deep, it will look like it's beneficial, but it will not be beneficial. So the reason I'm saying this is that that's exactly how complicated it sounded. It's exactly how your decision making is complicated when you think about the future, when you realize everything that you have to take into consideration. Now, what you must realize also, and that's why on the diagram you see the tree structure, is that the analogy with chess is not exact, because with chess you see all the pieces that exist in the given position, and you know the rules are given. But in everyday life, you never ever see the position, because you never know the state of each piece in any given moment, because you don't every cause is a effect. Every effect is a cause of many other things, and that is an effect of many other causes before. And there's like so many of pieces of information that you only see a certain part that's filtered by your brain, and only what brain wants you to see, that's what you see. So what that means is that it's impossible to decide to have enough information to be able to really decide correctly what moves you make, because you never see the whole position. So again, I cannot count on the data, cannot count on my memories. it's impossible from all this information to predict the future in a reality that's so dynamic. So what should I do? Well, it's even worse. I was always told, find a goal. Define your goal and go after this goal. But I almost never reached it. And then I realized one thing. And the thing I realized was when a friend asked me, George, I really want to go with my family to Thailand. I've been visualizing it. I've been, doing everything for it, but it's just not happening. What should I do? And I asked her, how do you know that the ideal goal for you is Thailand? And she's like, what else can it be? And I said, well, what if it's 3 weeks all-inclusive in the Maldives Islands? And that thought never even occurred to her, because she couldn't have imagined that the way the brain was interpreting the reality to her, that she would be able, that the road to Maldives, 3 weeks all-inclusive, was actually easier than Thailand. In other words, not only is it hard to navigate in the reality because it's so complex, and in fact it's merely impossible, and it's just our cognitive bias and the brain make us feel that we are actually making the right decisions. So not only is it this hard, but I don't even know what my ideal goal is. And not only long term, because I have no idea, which way should I go, according to which rules to live. But I don't even know, should I strive to be a taxi driver, to be a writer, to be a computer developer, to be a teacher, which way should I go? So then you are stuck in a situation like when you are in a chess position. I cannot count on the past. I cannot count on how I can imagine the future. I cannot count on anything because brain is displaying anything. What else is left? Yeah. I have also another instrument. It's called thoughts. Thoughts. Somehow, it feels like someone is talking to me, but it's like sometimes I hear it, but most of the time I don't hear it. I just feel it. It's like telepathically I feel a sentence. Well, guess what? Those are also, what are these thoughts? They just appear. Yeah, but they are not my thoughts. Just as the brain is in this virtual reality is showing my soul, the interpretation of the reality outside. Just as my brain, where it somehow feels that I feel that I should feel a memory, so it pops a memory that it feels the brain that I'm expecting. Just as is displaying various variations based on some information. So in the same way, the brain is throwing me thoughts. And just as I was saying in the beginning, even though the feeling is that these are my thoughts and that I am thinking them, no. Within this body, there is this virtual reality being displayed, and within this virtual reality that's being displayed, yes, somehow, through some 6D sensor, I feel that it's communicating thoughts and emotions, but my soul is not part of them. I'm just the witness of what's happening. Now, you know what's happening? There's this really, really great book called Sapiens. And in the book, The author talks about an example when a monkey goes to get a banana on a tree, but it sees that right beside the tree there's a lion lying. And now you're saying that within the monkey's brain, monkey that doesn't have language, and when we say language, it's not the ability to only do the sound, but it's to think. First you have to think, so obviously the monkey doesn't have a concepts of the present, past, and the various past tenses. No, it just has feelings. So when the monkey sees this situation and it's hungry with the banana, the author of Sapiens is saying, of course, in the brain, the monkey is not telling itself, has the lion eaten? Should I go and try to run from behind and then jump up? Or what if the lion is really hungry? Maybe I shouldn't go from the front, or should I go quietly and slowly? And is the banana ripe enough? Or what should I do? Or maybe no, it's not thinking like this. What the monkey does, just as you and I would be inside of the monkey. Yeah, imagine that our soul is inside of the monkey, and the monkey sees this situation. And the brain of the monkey knows that we are not capable of talking. So the way it communicates to the monkey is that it sends it a sense of feeling of, let's say, aggression and heroism. It sends it a dopamine shot. And based on this, the monkey all of a sudden, the soul's like, yeah, let's go. And likewise, if the sensors send signals to the brain, that the brain calculates it, that it doesn't make sense to go for the banana, then into this 3D reality, it sends the emotions of, let's say, thoughtfulness and strategy and calm, or cowardness. So, because evolutionary, I am coming from this code and this probably system that evolved, that within this hardware and software, which is the feelings and thoughts and everything, my soul is inside, and in fact, my soul somehow, based on its attention, sort of guides this collective of cells as a premier or president or a leader of a group of people. So I'm entrusted to give sort of like yes, but somehow the brain manipulates me. Well, when I realized this, it's, can't you feel it? The sense of I, the soul, the consciousness, it's like if this, even though it seems that it's not like that, in reality it is like that all of this is being displayed within my soul, along with the thoughts, feelings, visions, everything. And because it feels so personal, I feel like I'm inside here, but everything is displayed within me. So then I gotta tell you that when you really feel this, and you can really feel this during meditating, because you just watch it, but you don't watch it, you watch it inside you, all of this happening, including all your thoughts and everything. Then you know that, and that's, you have to experience it. And just as it's hard to describe to someone how you go through memories, because it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable. You know, if you like, if an alien asks you, hey, tell me how you go through memories in your head, then you know, that's almost impossible. So when you are in this, you know, because you have to experience it yourself. And that's why you should meditate, that you realize that you are not part of it. You know, I'm just experienced it, and someone put me in this 3D world. Then, and here comes the part, what to do then? So again, I talk about the intro part, I talked about the standard way of viewing things, and I talk about the transition that you can feel yourself. So then, when you get to this point, you realize that all of a sudden you make it creates a space between you and all of a sudden you are not part of this movie, but this is part of you. And if it's part of you, it's like, that's how it is. So that gives you a little space, and then all of a sudden, because you are not responsible for anything, then you can enjoy it more, and you can enter something which is the answer how to live your life. And again, this is not something that I came up with, but I discovered it. And because it's part of our reality, it's present in all of the religions. And I will start with the chess analogy. How do you make the correct move? Right? So how do you make the correct move? What is the basis of the entry point glasses? Well, just like the segments, you have to start in the beginning. So you can think of the segments, the Entrypoint Academy. It's sort of like a little compass or mantra that puts you back in the beginning. So every time you get into a situation in your life that you don't feel somehow okay or fine, then think of Entrypoint Academy, and Entrypoint Academy starts with psychology. And why psychology? Psychology is the beginning. And what's the beginning? The beginning is the soul. Right? So when you sit down and close your eyes, and what I like even more is and that's what it's like also a technique that I practice during water fasting. It's meditating with your eyes open. So this is the reality. Yeah, with these feelings, the soul is right there in the beginning, and I'm in this 3D theater, and everything, how I feel, everything is just being displayed by my brain to me, because the brain thinks that I should see it as part of the evolution. But of course, for the brain, it's really hard to adapt to complexity of today's world, because the brain is made for surviving in the savanna desert and hunt and gather food. So these social complex structures where you have food every day, it's really hard for brain to adapt. So when I realized this, I go to the beginning, and then the next step is your hardware. So as you take a few breaths and you feel comfortable in the body, and again, that's all of a sudden I can enjoy my body way more, where in the past, I would be nervous what people think about my body. Well, I don't care, because from a point of view of the soul, the entry point glasses, sorry, this is the body I was put in, that I experienced the world through, and I'm not the one who designed it or grew it, right? So anyway, how do you make the decision in a given situation? So you go to the beginning. Why do you go to the beginning, to the soul? Because when you realized what I just said, that everything is displayed, then because you lose interest in the thoughts which are not yours. In fact, when now thoughts come up, they have to be really good. Because if they are not really good, like ones that are breakthrough in something that I'm trying to solve, then I almost look at it like, why, hey brain, why are you showing me this thought? And when you lose interest in thoughts, like they stop showing up. Now, why is it important? Because you want to be in the now. And in the now means that there are no thoughts, nothing. And why is it important? Because you can imagine that being in the flow, being in the now, is that you are in tune, the being is in tune with the soul, with everything here is just part of everything. You are not controlling everything, you are just experiencing what the body is doing. So you are not involved, you are just a watcher of what's happening. Now, why is this important? Because just like the chess master in the given position, you cannot always calculate 30 moves ahead. So what you do is that it's even funnier. No chess master in this world, when they make a move, they never have in their head what kind of mate they are going to do, right? Because we're trying to answer question, how do I get to a certain destination if I cannot plan and I don't even know if it's the correct one? The answer is, you forget where you want to go. All you care about is that in every given moment, you are making the decisions that will take you to your ultimate goal without even you knowing what the ultimate goal is. Because just like in chess, you know that the best way to get to the most beautiful mate is not that you plan the mate ahead before you start the game, but that during the game you do the best optimal moves, because only the best optimal moves, on both parts actually, lead to the most beautiful mate. So you have to be in a state of mind that imagine that you have a navigation, and imagine that a nice figure is, imagine God. Regardless if you believe in God or not, imagine what you would imagine a God is. And God, you are sitting in a car and God gives you navigation and tells you, I just plotted a course. It will be, let's say, 7-hour drive. You have no idea where it's going. You have to always just watch, the current moment and drive accordingly. But you know that the destination will be what the ultimate godly path that leads you to the best path. That's the ultimate path of your life. That once you finish it, you know that it couldn't have been better. Well, again, I use the metaphor with God so that you would trust it. So when you trust it, you don't need to plan anything. You just know that you go with the present, and you don't even care if it goes left or right, because you just trust this path, because you know that it will be the best path that God could have come up with. So that's exactly what you have to get to. Forget the goals that you feel you should be doing, because it's brain's manipulation based on some cognitive bias. No. Stay in the open mind and let it all unfold. Because that way, because our whole universe is based on synergy. So what needs your energy will attract itself. And as long as everything is open, just like when two molecules or two atoms want to join, they have to be completely open to work long term. Then that's exactly the mode that when you are in this flow, you will be on your ideal path to success. And I'm talking about from my two experiences. One was when I was a competitive swimmer. So I was achieving peak results only when my head was empty and I was exactly just in a 4D theater experiencing George swimming in the finals. And when I was with empty head, I did the best results. I mean, unimaginable compared to the ones that I was thinking about. Not only that, it wasn't enough not to think about work stuff, but even when I was thinking about the swimming, it already distracted me from the results. And the second experience is during water fast, because during Entrypoint water fast, I get into this flow and I have the work experience is that I feel like I'm not doing anything, yet things are being done, and there's so many things done that I'm surprised. So that even though I don't want to fast anymore, I enjoy the state of being productive so much that I keep on fasting to stay in flow more intensely. So yeah. So this is the frame, and the key is that you have to look at, when you have the Entrypoint glasses, you have to realize all the biases that you have. Again, and unfortunately I'm missing a link to a video where I wrote two piano pieces based on one motif. One piano piece is when the brain was in the state of mind of feeding, and then the second video was or second composition was on the same motif, but in a state of mind when the brain was starving. And these two pieces are, from my point of view, relatively different, but not. And when I talked about these two pieces, I talked about them. Don't compare them if you like this piece or that piece, but compare them how the brain works differently. And not if it's good or bad, but it gives you again more information from the reality. So when I talk about how to view the the soul and everything around you, but again, take it as that's the Entrypoint glasses. And every time, and that's one of the reasons why I also wear these glasses, aside from blocking the blue light, is that they constantly remind me of all the filters we have in front of our eyes, or all the mental pictures of how the world is, where in fact it's not like that. And this leads me into being able to have clear head, be in the flow, enjoy life even more, and let George go into areas of life where, based on the presumptions that I had, I would otherwise not be able to enter. So this is the basis of Entrypoint psychology segment. Now, as I said, I talked about the intro. I talked about the standard way of how I perceived everything. I talked about transition, through which you can Google out, and there's so many scientific discoveries in this part that actually prove how we behave and why we behave like that. So we have a lot of cognitive biases put in our head in order for us to be able to say we are domesticated monkeys. And because we are domesticated and have belief in fictional stories, which also is described in the book Sapiens, we are able to collectively work and unite, and because we are able to cooperate in large numbers, we were able to to beat in the evolutionary fight monkeys. So for me, this transition led to the part where I started to view reality differently. And I just, and when you realize that this is, like, for example, the word Islam means surrender. So this is exactly what you have to do. It's like the soul has to surrender to the reality, but not in a way, I give up, but in a way, surrender to the, you're watching a movie. Imagine that you're watching a pre-made movie, but you would, and you would be really upset or nervous what's going to happen, and you would, it's already pre-recorded. So regardless what you do in any given moment, it will happen the way it's pre-recorded. So that way you can, or even more, imagine that it's just it's not real, right? It's just actors. So there's a different way of watching the movie when you think it's a documentary. There's a different way of watching the movie when it's paid Hollywood actors, and it's also different when it's a documentary of your family members, how they are struggling in life and are thinking about suicide. Can you feel it? Yeah, but if you realize that it's an already pre-made movie, it's a movie that you are just watching, but you are not affecting, then you can enjoy it much more. And that's what led me to do the second model, because you really, when you during meditating, or when you close your eyes and you feel the reality, it's exactly how I describe it, that you don't control anything, and it's just based, I guess, on the brain, what it shows me in this virtual reality. And then I gave you a few examples, and the best example is to get into the flow. So when I'm fasting, every time a thought of food comes up, I always take it as let's go back to Entrypoint Academia, segment 1, psychology, soul. Yes, the brain is displaying me a thought of food. The brain is showing me thoughts. And of course, the brain is doing it because it needs to convince my soul that I should eat, because it needs sugar. So that's how it is. Again, thank you for watching till here. Now my next step is to publish the next segment about health, because I think there's a lot of information that through looking at it through the Entrypoint glasses that I found, things like how to kill cancer cells, how to get rid of diabetes, and many other things. So this will be coming up, and I'm sure that I will be doing these videos in the future. If you would like to know more, check out the other videos on this channel, or you can contact me based on the information in the description to this video. So take care, and see you soon. Bye bye.